Once upon a time, in a world much like our own, except slightly more magical, there lived a very ordinary cat named Marmalade. Marmalade was an orange tabby with a white chest and paws and the most inquisitive mind of any cat you ever did meet. Now, Marmalade wasn't your typical house cat. Oh no, while other cats were perfectly happy chasing yarn, napping in sunbeams, or batting around the occasional toy mouse, Marmalade craved adventure. She longed to explore the world beyond her cozy home and the garden wall. One day, while playing by the window, Marmalade noticed a butterfly fluttering about in the breeze. It landed on a flower, sipping sweet nectar before flitting away again. And just like that, Marmalade was off on a new adventure, determined to catch that very same butterfly. As she slinked through the long grass, Marmalade spotted something strange lying in the weeds. It looked like a twig at first, but then it moved. The twig writhed and twisted and then unfurled itself into a long, flexible stick. Curiosity piqued, Marmalade batted it with her paw. The stick tapped against her nose, and then, to her astonishment, it vanished. Startled, she jumped back only to see the stick reappear in the exact same spot. Amused by this strange game, Marmalade began to stalk the elusive stick. Back and forth it danced, appearing and disappearing at will. Just when she thought she had it cornered, the stick would vanish into thin air, only to pop up somewhere else entirely. After a while, the game lost its appeal and Marmalade turned to go. But as she did, she caught sight of something else lying in the weeds. It was small and round and shimmered with all the colors of the rainbow. As she approached, the object suddenly unfurled itself, transforming into a long, narrow paintbrush. Intrigued, Marmalade sniffed it curiously, and then, unable to resist, gave it a little lick. At that very moment, the world exploded into a cacophony of color. Everywhere Marmalade looked, she saw rainbows. There were arches of shimmering light painted across the sky, pots of gold at the end of every ray, and sparkling rivers of liquid sunshine flowing through the trees. Overwhelmed by the sudden burst of magic, Marmalade raced home, not stopping to admire the magnificent sights along the way. When she got back, she dashed straight to her food and water bowls, lapping eagerly at the fresh supplies left out for her by her human. After all that excitement, she was famished, but as she ate, her keen eyes couldn't help but notice the ordinary things around her: the faded wallpaper, the threadbare rug, the chipped porcelain of her water dish. Suddenly, she had an idea. With a mischievous glint in her eye, Marmalade took the paintbrush whisker she'd found on her adventure and dipped it into her bowl of water. Then she swished her tail back and forth, leaving a shimmering rainbow trail in her wake. Next, she stalked over to the faded wallpaper and, with a few deft strokes, painted it a brilliant shade of sapphire blue. Then she moved on to the threadbare rug, transforming it into a patchwork quilt of vibrant colors. Finally, she returned to her water dish and painted it a delicate shade of rose quartz pink. Marmalade gazed at her handiwork with pride, but her adventure had worked up an appetite and she was once again ready to eat it. However, when she went to her food bowl, she noticed something strange. It was filled to the brim with the most delicious salmon she'd ever seen, as well as a tiny note that read, "To the kind soul who restored my beauty, please accept this gift." Overjoyed, Marmalade dug into her dinner, purring with delight. But her adventures didn't end there. In fact, they were just beginning. With her newfound paintbrush whisker, Marmalade set out to transform the world. She painted rainbows on cloudy days, turning grey skies into breathtaking displays of colour. She touched up the fading flowers in the garden, making them bloom in vibrant shades of red, yellow, and blue. And she even painted a beautiful mural on the side of the barn, depicting everything from leaping dolphins to majestic unicorns. As she traveled, Marmalade made friends with all sorts of magical creatures. She befriended a family of pixies who lived in the old oak tree at the edge of the forest. They loved to fly alongside her as she painted, leaving trails of sparkling pixie dust in her wake. She also met a wise old owl named Professor Sophocles, who became her mentor and confidant. He taught her how to harness the power of the paintbrush whisker and how to use her magical abilities for good. One day, Marmalade heard a cry for help. A young fawn had gotten his leg stuck in some brambles and couldn't free himself. Without hesitation, Marmalade rushed to the rescue, using her paintbrush whisker to create a rope ladder. She lowered it down into the thicket and helped the fawn climb out to safety. From that day on, the animals in the forest looked to Marmalade as a hero, a brave and selfless creature who was always willing to lend a helping paw. But Marmalade's greatest challenge was yet to come. One day, a terrible storm swept through the land, destroying everything in its path. Trees were uprooted, houses were destroyed, and animals were left homeless. Seeing the devastation around her, Marmalade knew she had to do something. So, with the help of her animal friends and the pixies, she set to work. Using her paintbrush whisker, she created a giant rainbow arch that spanned the river, allowing the animals to safely cross over to dry land. She painted warm and cozy shelters for the homeless, and she even created magical seeds that sprouted into lush green plants, providing food for the hungry. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the land, Marmalade looked out over all that she had done. The animals were safe, the homeless had shelter, and the seeds had been sown. And as she gazed up at the night sky, she saw something truly magical. The clouds had parted to reveal a myriad of stars, and a bright, beautiful moon shone down on the land, bathing everything in its silvery light. In that moment, Marmalade knew that she had found her purpose in life. She was the keeper of the paintbrush whisker, and it was her duty to use its magic to bring beauty and hope to the world. And so she continued to travel, bringing joy to all who knew her story and reminding everyone that even in the darkest of times, a little bit of magic can make all the difference. And that, my friends, is the enchanting tale of Marmalade, the cat who painted rainbows. Remember, no matter how ordinary you may seem, there's always a little bit of magic inside of you, just waiting to be unleashed. All you have to do is believe. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this whimsical adventure of Marmalade the cat, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe for more captivating tales. Until next time, keep an eye out for magic in everyday moments and let your imagination soar like a colorful rainbow across the sky. Follow the Rainbow Whiskers, subscribe for more magical tales.